with the whole legal questions about haram, what are the limits. So when you are not psychologically free, intellectually open to question the questions, to come with a new understanding of the problem, you end up resisting by being very obsessed with al-halal or haram. It's just the limits. So yes, you will have very, very clear and interesting answers coming from fuqaha telling you, oh, in this situation is halal, in this situation is haram. But we are not coming with proposals, we are not coming with a vision, we are coming with a very, very protective, defensive way of dealing with our text. So we end up using the Quran as a text from which we extract rules to protect ourselves, not vision to change the world, which is not the same. You're not, protecting yourself is just accepting that the world is not going to be changed, or we don't have a proposition. Thank you. So this is where not only ilm al-nusus it's important, but fahm al-nusus it's important, is not only the knowledge but the understanding. And the whole thing which is important in our education here is to reform our way of reading the Quran and the prophetic tradition, the way of reading the world, and also the way to position ourselves in the whole discussion today. And this is what it's important in our universities, what it's important in our councils of fuqaha, where they come only with rules and not sometimes even questioning the way we deal with contemporary knowledge. And this is where two things, and it's where the balanced approach is important. When we speak about Islamic applied ethics today, of course we need to be very specialized. We need to have people in medicine, in environment, in media, in all the fields, in food, in arts, in education, economy, even in very specific fields in psychology. We need people who are very specialized. We need people who are able to get the best of the knowledge of their time. But at the same time, it's important to be specialized in one field, still having a comprehensive approach of the way we deal with the world in the light of our relationship and our way of dealing with it, tawheed. So this balanced approach between comprehensive approach with specialized knowledge is something which is today problematic. We have two problems. Many of our fuqaha are not specialized in one field. They are not. They deal with fiqh in all the fields. They can answer in economy and they can answer in bioethics. And anyone who is a specialist in that field say, I'm sorry, you don't get the knowledge here. So we need people who are able to deal with the comprehensive understanding of what the Quran, all what I said, the sources, the vision, and then to be very specialized. So we might need more specialized fuqaha. But we need ulama al-waqi', meaning doctors, medical doctors, economists, or environmentalists, knowing very specialized, having very specialized knowledge in their field, but also to get a sense of what is the very essence of the message of Islam. Is a comprehensive understanding here. And very often we are talking about, shumuliyat al-Islam, Islam is a comprehensive approach. We are saying this, but this is a theory. That's not the reality. We have completely disconnected knowledge. Our disconnection is the reality of our knowledge now, where we are not able to mix between this and that. And this is where we need to reform this way of teaching by having this, once again, to come with, at the end of the day, what is the ultimate message of Islam for us in the world? It's an understanding of Islam. Are we here to adapt? Are we here to transform the world for the better? That's one thing. What is the ultimate message? If we are here to transform for the better, you can't only rely on the questions of the dominating civilizations. You need to come with your own questions, your own goals, your own ends, and your own comprehensive approach. In the light of this, you have to deal with to be updated as to the knowledge of your time and dealing with what meaning do you give to this? What are the goals you want to achieve? What are the means you are ready to use? This is where we need this understanding. And if you look at the Muslim majority countries and Muslims around the world, don't tell me we don't have the means and we don't have the capacity. What is lacking is not the resources and the means. What is lacking is the vision, is the understanding, is to be able to liberate ourselves, as I said, in psychological, intellectual, and educational terms. And, you know, just another example before coming to my conclusion, you know, what we are trying to do now also with Kyle is to come with a new methodology, having scholars of the text and scholars of the context coming together. 8 of them, 4 are specialized with the text and others with the context. And recently we had a very interesting discussion at Oxford University on art. And this is where you can see that the artists, when they are dealing with the fuqaha, I say, you don't get it. You don't get what is, you know, to tell me, you know, what is art is just beauty, is imagination and beauty. So in our world today, say you know, Jamal and all this, that's fine, that's good, but that's not enough. Because you are dealing with, you know, are you sure that arts today is only about beauty? And it might be that in contemporary terms, beauty can come from bad things. Beauty is not good always. Bad could be beautiful. So how do you deal with this? How, as artists, do we deal with this? How do we define art from an Islamic perspective? Instead of putting Islamic everywhere, this is the way we do it. We like that. Islamic art. Don't ask about what it is. Islamic art is talk about Islam with some Arabic terms for Muslims. That's not art the way we have to deal with it. We will be lost in our world if we keep on saying this. It's deeper than that. It's very deep. So what is our comprehension, our understanding, our way of dealing with imagination, beauty, and what is the end? It's when, you know, Hanbala came to the Prophet ﷺ, he was worried about his hypocrisy. And he said, Sa'atun wa sa'a is 1 hour and 1 hour. What is this hour of resting? What does it mean? Arts and entertainment. So the way you know, for example, beauty is important, but beauty is also based on Allah. Inna Allah yuhibbu idha amala ahadukum amala an yutqina. Anyone who knows about the beauty of reciting Quran knows that the beauty of the voice is only based on the very straight way of dealing with al-huruf. Ta is ta. When you read the Quran, it's not ta. You have to be mastering the very technical side of anything which has to do with beauty. So all this dimension of art, beauty, and means, and all this is where the Muslims sometimes we are not here. We are responding, trying to protect ourselves. So as art today is very often not moral or immoral or amoral, so let us have moral art. And moral art is limiting everything. It's not expressing something new, something that could be universal. If our message is universal, we need to have art which is not in contradiction with Islam, but universally understood and accepted and liked, because this is min al-fitra. So we need to come to this also understanding. My conclusion here is when we talk about applied Islamic ethics, and in which way, as I was saying, we need to reform our understanding. As I was just saying, all what I said today is just introductions to all these fields, and then to reform our understanding and our education. In the field of applied Islamic ethics, the way we have to deal with this is, in fact, reconciliation. What we need in our education, in our understanding, is reconciliation. And the first thing is, once again, you can see this. Ethics, by being for us the good character, the right way of doing things. The right way of doing things. Right is the legal, way is the practice. Ethics is reconciling first the dimension of what is legal and what is spiritual. Spirituality is giving meaning to your rules. Spirituality is in everything. Anyone who thinks that spirituality is only purifying the heart, no. In fact, in Islam, when it is said, كَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا فِيكُمْ رَسُولًا مِنْكُمْ يَتْلُ عَلَيْكُمْ آيَاتِنَا وَيُزَكِّيكُمْ. We sent a messenger he is reciting our verse, لِيُزَكِّيكُمْ, mean to purify. And here purification is not only the purification of the heart, is purifying everything you do. Zakat is purifying your money. Praying is purifying your heart, and and fasting is, everything you do has a purifying dimension. So ethics, when you are a medical doctor and you do it the right way, you are purifying your profession. Teaching, you need purification. And purification is to act in the light of what is good. The right way of doing things in education. The right way of doing things as a medical doctor. So this understanding of applied Islamic ethics is a reconciliation between the legal and the spiritual. And the legal and the spiritual is a reconciliation between the legal and the ethical. Sheikh al-Raizuni was telling us when he saw the center that we have, he said, this is the first time I think that people are trying to come with the legal dimension, التشريع الإسلامي والأخلاق. Why? Because the akhlaq are questioning the goals, the meaning, is how do you do things. It's not tell me about the rules, tell me about the rules in the light of the good character, in the light of the good behavior, in the light of how do we deal with our knowledge in specific fields. So we need this kind of reconciliation. So all the people who today, we have activists after 20 years say, you know what, I have been an activist and there is no spirituality in my life. And very often we are experiencing this. Where is spirituality in all what I am doing? And I think that this is where we need to come with a very clear understanding of applied ethics. Yes, giving meaning to everything you do, not in legal terms, but meaning relying on the goals. What do you want to achieve? Why are you doing what you are doing? So this is where spirituality is coming back. So ethics is the way to reconcile spirituality and active, intelligent, and efficient spirituality, not only in the way we deal with our heart, but the way we deal with our mind, in the way we deal with our world, in the way we deal with our societies. So this is what spiritual is all about, is giving meaning. So I would say that Islamic applied ethics is the way to reconcile the three dimensions here, is to be intellectually efficient, it's spiritually open, and in practical terms is to be morally, ethically engaged to change the world for the better. And this means that we have to understand our religion, to educate our students and ourselves in the way where we are rooted in our tradition, open to the world, and ready in the light of these dimensions to change it for the better, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Brothers and sisters, I think you will agree with me that if I describe this guy as the durian of scholars, I'm not very wrong. I wouldn't make an attempt to summarize anything at all. We have just under 15 minutes to make comments and ask questions for him to respond. But please, if you want an opportunity to give a lecture, we will invite you specifically for that. So keep your questions short, please. One point that I took from this is that there is an expression that I got on this ubiquitous Facebook which says, you might hit the target, but miss the point. This is what I think he's talking about. We are hitting the target, but we are missing the point. And it's important that we get the point right as well. Please, Sharifat. Yes, sir. Yeah.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. حمدا وشكرا لله. Thank you, Dr. Tariq Ramadan, with really excellent presentation. That's very, very important. And it's the essence actually of our education. And that is, on those hours you have mentioned already, mostly just stay in the text, in the books, in seminars. Now let's see in the field. This is my question. So far we have known or experienced already that many Muslim communities, almost all over the world, especially me coming from Indonesia, from Banda Aceh, you have the problem of implementation of this akhlaqul karimah. Now, what's wrong there? I don't want to see in some other countries how Islamic countries are one of the well-known research. Now, what's wrong? Is there any problem in understanding of the text of the Nas or the world? Or simply what we are teaching is not religion itself, but simply just ideology or my wish or presentation, and then create that kind of bad image on Muslim and even Muslim world, almost everywhere. Thank you.
Okay. I think you're touching the main point. What's wrong with having all these theories, good understanding or better understanding, and still it's not efficient? I think that there are three main problems.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, in my understanding, what I can see is our understanding of Islam is not a comprehensive and is not a deep understanding. But once again, it's not to be arrogant, and I think we have to be very humble in the way we deal with average Muslims. But why a very simple religion ends up to be so misunderstood by the believers and sometimes by the scholars? And this is why you have to put things into the context. We are facing a multiple crisis as Muslims. One of these crises is very much the relationship with the other, with what we perceive as the dominant. And this is distorting our understanding of Islam because we keep on being reactive. There is a lack of confidence among Muslims. And the lack of confidence as to who we are and what we can provide. We are not contributing, we are resisting. And there is only one side of jihad. Jihad is not resisting only. Jihad is resisting in order to reform. The second side of it is how do we reform. In this situation, in this context, we come with another problem, which is when you resist. For 20 years I have been trained by scholars that I very much respect. But I said in the book because I myself was reaching a limit. I was just facing, 25 5 years of dealing with fiqh and all these questions, contemporary questions, and at the end you say, am I doing the good thing? Am I doing the right thing? And say, yes, as a step, but it couldn't be the final stage of the work. And then you look at what the scholars, our understanding of reform is what? We are reforming our understanding of the texts, which is root, which is a tajdeed, not in order to change the world, but in order to come with right question to the contemporary challenges. And these right questions for us are very much to try not to be in contradiction with the text. And when your obsession is to okay, this is the world the way it is, let us try not to be in contradiction with the text, is resisting to the world by being faithful to the text, which this is where there is a problem. If I'm faithful to the text, is not to resist to the world, but is to use the text to change the world. This is to be faithful to the text. The text is telling me, here you are, use the text to change the world. But if you are in this obsession of the other and feel that you don't, you feel, you lack confidence in the power, you are exactly in the situation of the Prophet ﷺ when Jibreel ﷺ came and said, read, say, I can't. So now it's as if change the world we can. But then after Bismi Rabbik you can. So this is where I think that there is a lack of confidence in our understanding that, yes, if you don't know how to deal, if you rely on your faith, your spirituality, and the very deep understanding, and you liberate yourself from your sense of helplessness, not being able to do this because the West is dominant, or other civilizations. So we can't rely on law to change the world. Laws are means, they are not the goals.
Yes, Brother Hassan.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Thank you, Professor, for this very informative lecture and presentation. I learned a lot from it. As a humble Muslim, I have been very impressed by what I could humbly call the philosophy of reading and thought in Islam. And the Professor Taha Jabir al-Alwani of the Triple T talked about what he called qira'atan, 2 readings, which you have mentioned at the beginning of your wonderful presentation. Reading the scene of physical universe, qira'at al-kawn al-mashhud, and of course reading the Holy Quran. My question is, how as humble Muslims, how can we reconcile practically the 2 readings? This is my first question. My second question is that we talked about liberating our minds intellectually and of course liberating ourselves psychologically if we want to decolonize ourselves from the West, if we want to meet or to address the tremendous challenges by the West. Again, practically, how do as humble Muslims decolonize ourselves? Thank you very much.
But that's not one lecture, it's a long seminar. It's a teaching for almost for life. So the 2 readings. And that's interesting because what you want is something to say, okay, let us be practical with ordinary Muslims, average Muslims, how do we do this? First, as to the 2 readings in our daily life, I think that the main thing that we have to do in our daily life, when you are dealing with the good character and the good behavior, the best among you is the one who has the best character. This is reconciliation already. I think that in our daily life, just to understand this verse, الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, is the starting point of the two readings. Is the way you deal, but it's a comprehensive approach. It's not only the way you deal with al-ibadat, is the way you eat, the way you drink, the way you serve the people, the way you act with the environment. All this is the true reading. This is the average. Now, if you are in a specific field, as a medical doctor, as a teacher, as anywhere, what you have to do is in your field is to ask yourself what are the higher objectives and the ultimate goals of what you are doing. What are you doing what you are doing? And if you teach, then you have to say, why do I teach? So I teach to transmit knowledge, but also an understanding, a behavior, in fact, responsibility. I want my students to be able one day to think without me. So I have to respect this. And this is why you implement this in the light of the objectives. It's in every field, you should come with what are the goals and the ends of what I'm doing. This is active spirituality. So it's very simple, but it's not. It's very simple to say. It's going to be very complicated to, if you want to have a comprehensive, but you don't need a mufti to tell you this. You don't need a mufti. You need to just ask yourself, what are the objectives, the rules, and then to deal with that. And then when you come to decolonizing the West, let me tell you something. Because it's not a competition with the West. Why do I want to decolonize, as you use, colonizing the minds and decolonizing the minds? It's in fact not only for Muslims versus the West. I think that the way you decolonize yourself or your mind from some of the questions and the way they are put in the West is not only good for you, it's good for the West. My point is this one, is I'm a Western Muslim, I live in the West. And my question is not to demonize the West. It's not. It's how from within can I contribute not to the answers of the West, but to question the questions. The way the questions are. The way we deal with science. And you will see that if there is fitra, if we touch this, we are touching the universal. Many times in the way I'm talking about values from an Islamic viewpoint, my way of talking about the values and ethics is understood by the people, even if they are not Muslim. So I think that this is where decolonizing is first to understand why. What is my mission? What does it mean to be a witness? And then with this is to try in your field, once again, if you're in your field, to try to question this, to question the way things are put, and more importantly, the best way to decolonize yourself from what is alien is to reconcile yourself with what is defining you. A better understanding of Islam is the best way to understand with, Abu Hamid al-Ghazali was right in this. Your heart is always full of something. It could be with one God or with many gods. Ask yourself what is in your heart. And this is the starting point of the journey.
In order not to be accused of being gender biased, I'll give the last question to the sister from the side. Yeah, please. Quick one. A very quick one, please.
Yes, assalamu alaikum. Actually, it's not a question, it's just a small feedback. I'm not academic, I'm from the public, assistant to this conference, and I thank you so much for coming to Brunei. Actually, as you stated in your presentation, that a person who is in a specific field he should be very specified regarding the ethics. And actually, I was very interested in the bioethics because my field is biotechnology and food science and technology. And what I felt, because you were also speaking about the rational and the irrational, and that sometimes our rational stops, but we still feel in our heart, like we say in French, le cœur a ses raisons que la raison ne connaît pas. Say the heart has its reasons that the reason doesn't understand. Actually, because in my field, I saw that sometimes I can have an objective, like let's say in food industry, I can invent something that's good for the food industry, but is harmful for the nature, harmful for the people, for the health. The same, I can do something good in doing energy, but is really destroying all the nature around us. So there is also objective, like beyond the objective, the let's say universal objective or universal objective that it will be really good now, but bad. Like we saw the petrol was good for a time, but now we see that how it is harmful. Now in biotechnology, we study how to take out all this harm from the nature because of what happened. And so there's always something